Hey everybody, this is Shakir Ramsey at RamseySpeaks.com. I am here with Kevin Grimes in his office. He is the CEO of CFO Leasing, one of the major accounting firms in the Southeast. Kevin and I are speaking about leadership. And let's just jump right into it. Kevin, so I've been reading a lot of literature about leadership. And one of the things that comes out is leaders cannot be trained. They have to be born. Do you believe this is true? That leaders, in fact, cannot be trained? They are born?
I believe some of your more pure leaders, are born. But I do believe that certain individuals with a high aptitude, with the right set of ethics and integrity, they can emulate the patterns of a leader, study a leader, understand why leaders made decisions, and in certain leadership moments, they can reflect on what different leaders did in terms of case studies and then apply that to their own behavior.
Okay, so are there then maybe defining moments that a leader in development over time has that informs their leadership?
I think whether they're emulating the style of a born leader or being a born leader, they both have defining moments. What I mean by that is, even a born leader doesn't come out at 4, 5, 6 years old and they're just a natural leader. So there's always a defining moment or defining moments within any leader's path.
Wow. So does that mean that you have had some of these defining moments, would you say?
Yeah, I've had multiple defining moments throughout my career. And when you talk about being born or trained, someone may look at me and have an opinion that says this was a born leader or this was a trained leader. In either conclusion they draw, it doesn't change the fact that I've had at least 3 major defining moments in my life.
Could you tell us, if you don't mind, some of those moments?
Yeah.
Hopefully they're above board and
nothing like that. First defining moment for me was when I was 17 years old, inner city Cleveland, and the military came out to administer the ASVAB test. I scored a 94 on the test, and the score was so high that it allowed me to drop out of high school and actually enter the military at the age of 17. So you talk about a leadership defining moment. I'm 17 years old. I'm the youngest person on active duty in all 4 branches, and I'm thrown into a leadership role as a section leader. So you have to imagine it. And here's the funny part about it. You don't know it at the time. You don't know that it's your defining moment. You're just in the present, living through the moment. So I'm 17 years old, the only one that's not over 18, the only one that doesn't have a high school diploma or higher, and I'm in charge of 30 grown men.
Oh, what's that like?
It was pretty tough, and I can tell you, looking back on it now through 34-year-old eyes, the military, they're pretty good at seeing leaders, and they're the ones who believe they can train leaders. So if you follow that path, there was a moment where I didn't do something I was supposed to do. And my leadership position was offered to someone on my team, and they didn't want it. And they said, this position belongs to Kevin. And what they understood was that they couldn't lead the team the way I did. So even in that moment, you don't realize that at 17 years old, you're such a good leader that people want to follow you. To you, that's just a moment where that person was being loyal to you. They didn't sell you out. They didn't backstab you. They were just being a good friend. But when you look back on it, that person knew the challenge of running all 30. They felt I was doing a good job as their leader, even though I had made this one mistake. And the mistake I made was I was helping someone else, and I didn't have time to do my own work.
What were the other 2? You said there were 3.
There were 3. The second one is while I was in the military, I had an encounter where I went and enlisted. So the only thing that's different between enlisted and officers are college degrees. And I didn't understand the importance of a college degree. I was always smart, always valued knowledge, always loved the concept of being well educated. But the formal process I didn't value until I saw a 35, 36-year-old enlisted man calling a 22-year-old officer, sir. And in essence, this enlisted man was teaching this young kid how to be his boss. And I stepped back and just said to him, I'm 18 at the time. I can still go either way. And I just said, man, which side of this coin do I want to be on? And at that point, that's when I understood the value of formalizing your education. Now, in leadership, that's called professional polish. That would be the equivalent of being an electrician, of being an accountant, and not being licensed.
What's the third?
The third one happened that forced me into entrepreneurship. Because you have to think about leadership, man. And this is why I believe it's kind of the part about born. Who would consciously want to do that? So who would consciously want to lead people into a war? You know, who would consciously want to put themselves in public scrutiny? I mean, who trains for that moment to be that guy?
See, this is why, I'm going to stop you, Kevin. This is why I believe there is something to be said about leaders being born. There's something in their DNA that's crazy. There's a gene that's a little deviant, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Right? That allows you to look through the forest of risk and run anyway.
Yeah, and run anyway. Yeah. And you're right. And those are, and see, that's where the born leadership versus trained leader comes from. You can train judgment to some degree. You can teach the value of accountability and integrity. And a person who doesn't inherently, or a person who in the past has exhibited behavior opposite to integrity and accountability, you can train those qualities into a person. Military does it all the time. But what you can't train into somebody is courage. You can't train heart. So when you look at a leader, and it's one of those moments where education didn't matter, all common sense would have told a person to do B, C, D, E, or F, they still chose to do A. That's the part you can't train. And I think that's why the scholars have that differing opinion of born versus trained.
Your origin story is quite compelling. Clearly, your path has been unlikely. You said you started out with sort of an attitude towards education that got refined, that you realized you had to acquire, which has brought you to this point as the CEO of your own company. What would you say, based on that path, has given you a competitive edge? You know, when you compare your path or your post right now as a leader to other traditional leaders, what makes your path so unique that it's given you that competitive edge that someone else that has gone to the traditional schools or the routes just don't have?
For me, I view failure and success uniquely. Now, you know my background, AA degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, and I've done some PhD studies in leadership. I've never read anyone who had this take on leadership like I do. And mine is, in terms of success, I've never really succeeded. What I mean by that is, every leader has this goal that's so high, where everyone else is stopping them along the path and saying, man, congratulations, you're doing great, you're awesome. That leader's like, I still haven't succeeded yet. So the drive never goes away.
So you got something to prove.
Every day. So for us, there's no moment in NASCAR where you're standing on the podium, holding up a trophy and drinking the milk. You know, you're still doing laps on the track. You never get off the track. The other thing is failure. Real leaders know that they're never defeated. As long as you're breathing, you're still in the battle. You are never defeated. So
because you've been through the fight already. You know what it's like to essentially be burnt and still come up breathing, skin burnt and all, but you're still breathing and you still live another day.
Been burnt, you've been knocked down, you've been set back. There may even been times when you've been discouraged, but defeated. If I'm still here, the goal is still there. I haven't reached the goal. It's not success. I haven't stopped trying. It's not defeat. So leaders live in the middle. People make it seem like leaders live on the top and followers live on the bottom. Leaders live in the middle.
There you have it. Leaders live in the middle. Words of wisdom from Kevin Grimes, CEO of CFO Leasing. You can go to his website, cfoleasing.com.
Absolutely.
If you want to find out more about his organization, or ask him directly questions about leadership. We had fun here at RamseySpeaks.com. Kevin, I know you have to get back to some deals and close them.
You got to get back to the middle.
This is RamseySpeaks.com. Shakir Ramsey signing off. Thank you, and we will see you for the next segment of what it is to be a leader.